Namaste. I'm going to talk about Muslim yoga. Many of you heard of Christian yoga and Jewish yoga and secular yoga, but you probably not heard of Muslim yoga. Now, the Muslim yoga stems from the fact that Muslims have discovered around the world that yoga is very useful. And they've also found it problematic to take the whole yoga as is without taking it apart, because there are many things they consider blasphemous, anti-Islam, according to their interpretation. I will go through that today. There is a wide spectrum of Muslim responses to yoga, from those who say it's bad, it should be banned, to those who say let's Islamize it. There is a Quranic yoga. You chant Quran while doing this kind of yoga. Then there is yoga where you don't necessarily have to chant Quran, but you remove many things, like Surya Namaskar, because they think you are worshipping a deity which they're not allowed to worship, or like Om, and so on. You remove all that. And then there's yoga where it sort of remains silent on the question of whether it's good or bad. They just quietly do it as sort of medically good for you. And then there's also people who are okay with yoga being Hindu, and they as Muslims are practicing it. So we have a wide range of Islamic responses to yoga, and it's important for us from the dharmic point of view to understand what is it that they are trying to achieve in each of these postures towards yoga. Since my audience is primarily people with a dharmic background, my purpose is to educate them so you know what to look for, what questions to ask, because there's more going on in the Muslim's mind than he's telling you, and you should know what questions to ask to probe deeper. And most of all, my purpose is to wake up our people. This is a non-ignorable issue. This is going on. Today, the Muslim yoga is in the same state of development as Christian yoga was, 20 years ago. And this Muslim yoga is coming in a very aggressive and serious way. And so we have to wake up, take note of it, and get involved in whatever way we want to. In this episode, I'll show you several videos from different Muslims saying different things about yoga and give you my response. The first clip is from Zakir Naik. Let's watch the clip and then I'll give you my comments.
Good evening, Dr. Zakir Naik. My name is Kamalanadan. I'm a student. And my question is, a few years back, Malaysian Fatwa Council, they banned Muslims from doing yoga. They say it's against Islam. Is that true? Is it true from the point of Al-Quran? Thank you.
Whether asked the question that some council in Malaysia banned Muslims from doing yoga because it's against Islam, brother asking that is it against the Quran? Brother, yoga is a form of exercise which is derived from various places, including the Vedas. And in yoga you may say things, for example, I'm aware of something, I'm not an expert in yoga, but I'm aware that in yoga you may have to say certain things like Om and narrate and chant certain things. All these things may lead to shirk. It may lead to shirk. That means you're calling somebody else as the creator besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Islam, as I mentioned in my talk, according to Surya Nisa chapter 4 verse 48 and Surya Nisa chapter 4 verse 116, Allah will forgive any sin, but the sin of shirk He'll never forgive. Shirk is associating partners with God. So if you associate anyone else with God, call anyone else God besides the true God Allah, then it is shirk. So these things many a time lead to shirk. So I do agree with the Malaysian Council that they banned Muslims from doing yoga.
So Zakir Naik is saying that the use of Om is bad, the use of any references to things that are sacred is bad, and this is the worst kind of offense that a Muslim can do. So he thinks it's shirk, which means it's banned, it's against the wishes of Allah. It's very interesting that Muslims like to translate Allah as God, God in the Abrahamic sense, to show their proximity to Judaism and Christianity, because being the most recent of those three, They feel that therefore they replace, they supersede the other two. So if Allah is equated with God in the Judeo-Christian sense, they think it's actually to the Muslim advantage. But the same Allah cannot be equated to Krishna or Shiva or, God forbid, goddess or any of that stuff, because that is bad for them. So he's very selective. Things in yoga would refer to deities that Islam does not want anything to do with. They are banned and they are false gods. But anything in Christianity or Judaism referring to God, Islam wants to say Allah is actually the same thing. So there's a contradiction there, and we'll notice it more and more as we go. In this clip, you will see Arabs teaching Hinduism as part of so-called multiculturalism, pluralism in a school in England. Just watch the tone and the way they talk about Hinduism.
But there are some people in the world who decide not to use the intellect. They are happy worshipping idols, choose to worship such ridiculous things, a cow. Now, how can anyone worship a cow? And funny enough, they drink the piss of a cow.
He says it's not the first time he's given this speech.
I've told you this before, but I started trying to...
In 2009, government-approved inspectors praised the school for its interfaith teaching, saying,
"Pupils learn about the beliefs and practices of other faiths and are taught to show respect to other world religions."
It seems the inspectors weren't aware of teaching like this. He puts a question to the children about Hindus and other idol worshippers.
Do they have any intellect? No.
I will go from these worst case views that Islam has about dharma towards better and better ones as we proceed. Let's show you a map of all the Muslim countries in the world and their posture towards yoga. Many of them joined the International Yoga Day, and some of them did not. But while you're looking at this map, I just want you to notice that it looks like most Muslim countries have accepted yoga, but as the show proceeds, you will notice that they've accepted it in a distorted way. They've accepted yoga minus certain very critical sacred elements of yoga because they want to not have any kind of a doubt about the supremacy of Islam. When the Indian government started promoting yoga, because it happened to be the BJP government, which is associated as sort of Hindu government, this raised more controversy about the whole idea of yoga. Is it saffron? Is it Hindu? Is it not? And so forth. So I'm going to show you a clip where a prominent Muslim cleric in India is questioned about this issue of whether yoga is okay or not, and just watch his problems with Surya Namaskar and other aspects of yoga. Let's watch.
योग अगर इसको एक वर्जिश ज़िंदगी गुजारने के तरीक़े के तौर पर देखा जाए तो मैं ऐसा समझता हूँ कि ये एक कामयाब चीज़ है, इससे सबको फ़ायदा होना चाहिए। लेकिन हुआ क्या है? हुआ ये है कि इस फ़ायदे की चीज़ को एक ख़ास उसमें रंग में रंगने की कोशिश की।
नहीं, मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्या हुआ है। एक ज़माना वो था जब आप स्वामी रामदेव को, जो दुनिया भर में योग गुरु के तौर पर जाने जाते हैं, उनको लेकर के देवबंद गए थे। आज कंफ्यूजन क्या है? इस्लामी तालीम का मरकज़ है मौलाना अबुल कासिम नुमानी साहब कहते हैं कि योग का भगवाकरण करके इसे मजहबी सियासत से जोड़ा जा रहा है। ये गलत है, मुसलमानों को योग नहीं करना चाहिए।
पता नहीं वो आपको कहाँ से ये खबर लग गई है, लेकिन इतनी बात ज़रूर है कि कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जिनको अगर ठीक कर लिया जाए तो इससे सबको फ़ायदा हो सकता है। जैसे कोई ख़ास शब्द कहना योग में ज़रूरी नहीं है, लेकिन उसे ज़रूरी कर दिया गया। जब ज़रूरी कर दिया गया तो फिर एक विशेष समुदाय के लिए उससे बचना ज़रूरी हो गया।
आप ख़ास शब्द विशेष समुदाय से गोल गोल क्यों बात कर रहे हैं? मैं आपको सीधा सीधा बताता हूं।
कन्फ्यूजन कैसे फैलेगा? आपका इल्ज़ाम दुरुस्त कैसे होगा?
अब और कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट कर रहे हैं।
नहीं,
देखिए, दारुल उलूम वक्फ के उस्ताद हैं मौलाना मुफ्ती आरिफ साहब। उन्होंने कहा कि ये योग की आड़ में सूर्य नमस्कार करवाना जिसमें सूर्य के मंत्र बोले जाते हैं, ये गैर इस्लामी है।
ये तो सभी मानते हैं कि असल में सूरज को देवता मानना, सूरज को खुदा मानना, उसको ईश्वर मानना, ये इस्लाम के जो बेसिक सिद्धांत हैं उसके विरुद्ध है।
लेकिन अब तो सरकार ने कहा कि 21 जून को जो योग होगा उसमें सूर्य नमस्कार नहीं होगा।
अच्छी बात है, अच्छी बात है अगर सरकार ने ये कहा है।
So what the cleric is saying is that Om is not a good idea and Surya Namaskar is not a good idea, and he's glad that the Indian government is going to remove it, or so he would like, because these things in his opinion sort of are contradicting Islamic ideology. According to Islam, the only thing you can respect as sacred is Allah. So even something which doesn't have an image, it's not image worship, something like Om, purely a vibration, you cannot chant it because they feel that when you are chanting it, you are assuming it's sacred, and that is not allowed. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board made a ruling, which is on this slide, saying that Surya Namaskar is anti-Islam and should be banned because we cannot even ask for guidance or help from anyone other than Allah. Not only we're not allowed to worship the sun as a deity, but we cannot even ask for guidance from anyone other than Allah. Prophet Muhammad in fact said that if you imitate other nations, so now there is this nation of Islam and other people are called other nations. So if you imitate the beliefs of any other nation, then on the day of judgment, when you die and you are going to be judged, you will be treated like you're a member of those other nations. And if they are infidels, they're going to hell, you will also go there. So this is a very serious offense according to the All India Muslim Board. Now Muhammad Kaif, well-known Indian cricketer, got into trouble because he posted some yoga asanas. And in his tweet, which is copied here, he said, Surya Namaskar is a complete workout for the physical system, a comprehensive exercise form without any need for equipment. Now, he got into trouble. A lot of people said, you're promoting Surya Namaskar, that is some kind of infidel thing. In response to all the criticism he faced, because it became a big controversy, Kaif Muhammad says, in all the 4 pictures, because he put up 4 pictures, I had Allah in my heart. He has to trivialize, distance himself from the sacred element of Surya Namaskar and show that he is actually a good Muslim because he had nothing but Allah in his heart while he was doing those exercises. The controversy also affects Om. So they say Om stands for Brahman, both personal and impersonal, but no person, prophet, nobody is worthy of worship except Allah. So why don't they say Brahman is God, and so since Allah is the name of God, it's the same thing. Why don't they say that? They will say Yahweh, Theo, all the biblical names for God are referring to the same person as Allah is, but Brahman they cannot accept because that would create some political problems, social problems for them in South Asia. As a result of these controversies, the government of India decided, incorrectly in my opinion, that there will be no Surya Namaskar on this Yoga Day. This is the first time when International Yoga Day was celebrated. And of course there was a backlash. They said no Om, and then later they said okay, because Hindus complained, they said okay, there will be Om. So they went back and forth, making a political decision, a vote bank decision, rather than sticking to the integrity of what Dharma is and what Yoga is. The issue has also entered Pakistan, because you will see in the following clip that yoga is a very powerful movement in Pakistan. Pakistanis are full of praise for yoga, a lot of teachers all over the place, they're getting health benefits, they're very happy about it. So let's watch this clip.
7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay जी, right leg को उठा के जरा आपने राइट घुटने पे, राइट थाई पे रखें. ये जो कमर दर्द, लेग्स में दर्द, ये दर्दें आपने क्यों पाल के रखी हुई हैं? निकालें इनको बॉडी से. कपड़ा उस वक्त तक साफ नहीं होता जब तक उसको घिसा ना जाए, जब तक उसको वॉशिंग मशीन ना डाला जाए, पटका ना जाए. कुछ उस पर काम करना पड़ता है। इसको मूव करेंगे 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 10 more 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and now hold your right knee with your both hands and up hold your left big toe, फिर एक बार सांस लेते हुए लेफ्ट हैंड बैक, अच्छी तरह गर्दन भी घुमाएं पीछे और जरा पीछे, और वापस आए नीचे। अभी तक आपने अल्लाह क्या कहता है, तुम एक कदम मेरी तरफ चलो 10 कदम मैं चलूंगा। ये मेरा दोस्तों तजर्बा है। जिस दिन से इन एक्सरसाइजेस को अडॉप्ट किया, यकीन जानो मेरी जिंदगी में एक भी गोली नहीं रह गई।
But in the next clip, which is also in Pakistan, you'll notice controversy. Now, in this clip, they are beginning to get very defensive of Islam. They want this yoga, but they don't want certain things that they feel are brought in and mixed up with Hinduism. They're getting very uneasy about it. Just watch.
यहाँ से आपने दोनों हाथों को ऊपर उठाना है, सांस लेते हुए दोनों हाथ ऊपर सामने रखिए। इसमें डॉक्टर हजरात बैठे हैं, इसमें और टीचर हजरात बैठे हुए हैं, इसमें बहुत बड़े बड़े बिजनेसमैन बैठे हुए हैं, बैरिया के सबसे बड़े बिजनेसमैन बैठे हुए हैं। इनकी लाइफ बदल गई है। तो कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो, चाहे सर्वाइकल पेन हो, चाहे कोई डेस्क जॉब करने वाला बंदा है या आम लाइफ गुजारने वाला बंदा है, किसी भी प्रॉब्लम के अंदर हो, वो आए। मैं योगा को योगा के तौर पे करा रहा हूँ, मैं इसको एज ए रिचुअल नहीं करवा रहा। हिंदुस्तान में भी अगर आप जाएंगे, वहाँ पर भी जो योगीज हैं वो ज़्यादा रिचुअल्स को फॉलो करते हैं और योगा को मज़हब से अलग रहना चाहिए।
साधक यहाँ भी पद्मासन की मुद्रा में बैठते हैं, लेकिन ओम ध्वनि नहीं करते।
शमशाद हैदर का कहना है कि योगा को किसी मज़हब की पाबंदी की ज़रूरत नहीं है। सूर्य नमस्कार एक एक्सरसाइज का नाम है और उससे हिंदुइज्म का या हिंदी मज़हब का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं।
पाकिस्तान के भीतर योग की राह इतनी आसान नहीं थी। धार्मिक कट्टरपंथियों की राय थी कि योग हिंदू धर्म की एक कला है जिसमें वैदिक मंत्रोच्चार के साथ सूर्य, धरती और तमाम देवी देवताओं की पूजा की जाती है। इसीलिए पाकिस्तान ने योग के लिए अपने दरवाजे लंबे समय तक बंद रखे और योग केंद्रों पर हमले भी हुए। 10 मार्च 2014 को इस्लामाबाद के आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग योग केंद्र को हथियारबंद लोगों ने आग के हवाले कर दिया। यह केंद्र योग गुरु श्री श्री रविशंकर का था। रविशंकर तालिबान को आंतरिक शांति सिखाने का प्रस्ताव भी दे चुके हैं।
So they consider sacredness as a ritual. So it's some kind of an arbitrary thing that has been added in by yoga teachers in India, which is undesirable. So in other words, they're taking control and they get to decide what's desirable, what's not desirable. They get to pass judgment on Hindu yoga teachers. And according to them, this business of Om is arbitrary. It's being brought in to turn it into religion. It was never meant to be religion. Surya Namaskar, he says, is just the name of an exercise. He calls it Surya Namaskar. It's just the name of an exercise. It really has nothing to do with Surya as a deity. And finally, we saw there is also violence in Pakistan against some of these yoga camps like the one from Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. In the next clip concerning yoga in Pakistan, the assertiveness of Pakistanis concerning yoga is much more intense. Please watch.
सूर्य नमस्कार की इन मुद्राओं का फायदा तो सीधे सेहत पर होता है, लेकिन सूर्य नमस्कार और सेहत के बीच में धर्म की दीवार खड़ी की जाती रही है।
बीजेपी का पहले से ही एक एजेंडा रहा है हिंदू राष्ट्र। उस एजेंडा के थ्रू कभी ये बोलते हैं गीता पढ़ाना कंपलसरी कर देंगे स्कूल्स के अंदर, अब बोलते हैं कि योगा को कंपलसरी कर देंगे स्कूल्स के अंदर, योगा के साथ साथ सूर्य नमस्कार आता है उसको भी कंपलसरी कर देंगे। मुस्लिम समुदाय इस बात का टोटल खंडन करता है, क्योंकि हमारे को इस्लाम में सिखाया गया है कि हम सजदा करेंगे सिर्फ अल्लाह के सामने, और ये सूर्य नमस्कार करना हमारे रिलीजन में नहीं है।
पाकिस्तान इस्लाम की बुनियाद पर बना देश है। जाहिर है कि पाकिस्तान में सूर्य नमस्कार की मुद्राएं देखकर हैरानी होती है, लेकिन पाकिस्तानी योग गुरुओं की राय एकदम अलग है। उनका मानना है कि अष्टांग योग देने वाले पतंजलि का नाता पाकिस्तान से है। योग मुल्तान की धरती की उपज है।
योगा को किसी मजहब का हिस्सा नहीं बनाया और योगा किसी मजहब का हिस्सा है भी नहीं है। अगर कोई ये क्लेम करता है कि योगा इज फ्रॉम द दिस रिलीजन और दैट रिलीजन, ये बिल्कुल रॉन्ग बात है। योगा इस खिते के जो भी माइंड एक्सपर्ट थे, जो बॉडी के एक्सपर्ट थे हज़ारों साल पहले, जिसमें महर्षि पतंजलि, वो मुल्तान से उसका ताल्लुक था। मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि द ओरिजिन ऑफ योगा इज दिस लैंड, ये पाकिस्तान है।
You saw that they are accusing the Hindu yoga link as something of a BJP conspiracy. I mean, completely denying the fact that BJP, long before, hundreds of years, thousands of years before BJP, these spiritual links have been there. I mean, this is undeniable. If you watch the History of Yoga wonderful DVD, you will see very ancient links in temples, in scriptures, and all sorts of things between the dharma and yoga. So it's not some kind of a BJP conspiracy like this person makes it out to be. And it's very clear and explicit that Islam will revolt against this. The Muslim peoples are being asked to revolt against this link between dharma and yoga. And in the final part of this video clip you just saw, the teacher, the yoga teacher in Pakistan says, actually Patanjali was from Multan, which is now in Pakistan. So yoga had its origins in Pakistan. And so what they are looking at is an ancient period of time during which what is now Pakistan didn't exist. It was actually part of Bharat. Yes, it had its origins there, but it was not an Islamic country. It was thousands of years before Islam even started. So while it had its origins in Multan, Multan was a dharmic place, Multan was part of Bharat, and therefore this whole movement was Bharatiya culture, Bharatiya Sanskriti, and yoga is a Hindu thing. So now that they've taken over that territory, Muslim invaders from the Middle East came and took over that territory 70 years ago, made it independent. So now they are saying, therefore, really, since Patanjali came from that region, so they have their claim on it. This is a very convoluted and distorted and kind of a stupid logic. In the next clip, you will see there is something called Quranic yoga. These are people in India, I'm showing, but there are such groups all over. They are practicing yoga just to make sure that they are complying with Quran and with Islam. They're going to be chanting and listening to Quranic verses while doing their asanas. Please watch.
Muslim women in India's western Vadodara city have come up with a special type of yoga combined with the recitation of verses from the Islamic holy book Quran.
Muslim women in India's western Vadodara city have come up with a special type of yoga combined with Quranic verses. The group from Tadbir Foundation, who has started the yoga classes for Muslim women and for chanting, has combined the practice with Quranic verses and names of Allah or God. The move by the non-government organization aims to counter the critics of the ancient practice in Islam and wants to encourage more people to take up the practice.
ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने योगासना के जो बेसिक एस्पेक्ट्स है वो हमने चेंज कर दिए हैं, बट स्पाइस हमने ये ऐड किया है कि जो भी चैंटिंग पर्पस है उसमें हमने कुरान की आयत है किसी में, या तो फिर ग्लोरियस नेम्स ऑफ अल्लाह है, जो 99 ग्लोरियस नेम्स ऑफ अल्लाह है वो हमने यहाँ पे ऐड किया हुआ है।
Yoga is one of India's most successful cultural exports which have been promoted worldwide. It is a group of physical, mental and spiritual practices or disciplines. Scores of Muslim women came to attend the classes every day in order to practice yoga and meditate. The class focuses on the common health issues faced by women.
Now I'll go to an important teacher, an innovative Muslim in Canada who is launching a new kind of a yoga to bring a kind of modernized, westernized yoga for Muslim women in Canada. In the first clip, she responds to an interview by another Muslim to make sure she's okay doing this yoga and teaching this yoga, so there won't be any kind of accusation against her. And she does this by saying that she has a fatwa, a decree from Muslim authorities in Canada authorizing her to teach this yoga provided she removes any of these infidel components from it. Just watch.
Imam Yusuf Badad and Sheikh Ahmed Kuti, especially Sheikh Ahmed Kuti, they've given a fatwa on yoga. And if you separate the religious aspect and you just keep the spirituality and you take it as an exercise form, then there's no such way that yoga is haram or it's impermissible. Many, like in many parts of the world, yoga is practiced as a religious ritual. But here in North America, we have moved away from that idea. And because I learned yoga here and I became a teacher here, so I keep uncomfortable aspects of yoga, that is, aspects that are uncomfortable to monotheistic faith-based groups.
Note her use of language. The other is ritual. We, the North Americans, she's not isolating herself as a Muslim, but we, the North Americans, don't practice ritual as part of yoga. And we are wanting to be more compatible with monotheism. So again, that's a bigger canvas than Islam. It includes the majorities of North Americans, Jewish, Christians, Muslims, lumping them all together. So we, the North Americans, and we, the monotheistic faiths, don't want this ritual yoga. Interesting way of positioning herself. Notice in the next clip, pran, which is not the same thing as breath. It's a non-translatable. I've talked about it. Breath is the handle you can use to control the pran, but pran is bigger than breath. So notice how she translates pran as breath, and then it allows her to distort what she wants to say. Watch.
Basically, there are different types of yoga. So you can take yoga as like just by postures, and you connect it with breath, and you require brain juice to connect breath, mind, and body together. So it's a connection of mind, breath, and postures. So you change your postures when you change your breath, and then also that requires a lot of brain work, mind work to do that. You have to be very focused.
You see, once pran has been removed from the vocabulary, it's not part of the framework, and it's just there's mind, there's body, there's breath, and that's it. Then you can map then a whole part of yoga, what makes it distinct, how it's related to the sacredness of the body is gone, because the pran is the link, the bridge, the doorway to all of these dimensions. In the next clip, she says that Muslim yoga is something she has started specifically to do away with the chanting, which is problematic for Muslims. Please watch.
It all started with my own health struggles. I ended up with health problems, so my doctor asked me to do some gentle exercises on a daily basis. So they suggested yoga for me. So I went to yoga studios. In some yoga studio, what happens is that they start chanting, and they chant that stuff. I'm not going to go into too much detail of that. They chant that makes a person coming from monotheistic faith very uncomfortable, because we believe in one God. We don't believe in worshiping idols or statues and all of that. So I'm like, this is a good knowledge, because yoga is proved to improve your health, improve anxiety, depression. Breath work is great to improve lung volume, and also it helps you with knee pain, fixes your posture. Everything is great about it, but maybe I can cater it to monotheistic community, especially because I'm a Muslim, so especially to Muslim community. So I decided to become a teacher, and then I went and got my certification.
And here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
So was it ultimately, these where you noticed that you wanted to give people a safe space, a culturally appropriate space?
Yes.
It was this that inspired you to start Move and Improve.
Notice in the clip you just saw, again she uses monotheism as the big umbrella under which she locates herself, because then she expects to get political support from mainstream Canadians who are not Muslim but Jews and Christians, wants to say, look, I'm doing this on behalf of all of us, monotheism, because this thing should not be entering yoga, this thing that these non-monotheistic people have brought in, these rituals and chanting, we don't want to accept. So she's looking for camaraderie and support with the biblical traditions. In the next clip, she uses this spiritual but not religious identity, which is very common in Canada, USA, Europe. She uses that to her advantage to show that she is one of them in dismissing and rejecting yoga's dharmic links.
Within Islam,
Right.
I have to ask because I'm sure people are wondering, is yoga permissible in Islam?
So that is the biggest question I get asked because I'm a Muslim woman, and then people say, you are a yoga teacher, is that something, right? If we remove the religious aspect of yoga but keep the spirituality, there's a difference between religion and being and following a spirituality.
So explain that to me a little bit. What do you mean by that?
So religion is following a particular way of life, a particular ideology. Spirituality can be different. Spirituality can be common among all people. Like things like be kind, be true, don't steal. And these things are very common values that are part of humanity, you can say.
And you would equate this to spirituality to a certain extent.
That's spirituality. And religious is like certain ways of worshipping God and stuff. So I've taken that out.
In the next clip, she's very, very clear that she's digesting yoga in order to facilitate Muslim comfort with this kind of an Islamized yoga or secularized yoga or spiritual but not religious kind of yoga. Let's watch.
I'm catering it specifically to Muslim community so that when they practice it, they don't have to go through uncomfortable aspects of yoga.
And what are some of those Islamic elements that you've incorporated to make yoga more Muslim friendly, for lack of a better word?
First of all, I've taken out the chants that are, of course, they're not monotheistic faith friendly. I've taken that out. And then I ask people to find their own resources when I take them to meditation, to breath work, and also during the practice of yoga. I ask them to tap into their own resources. Then I ask them to do their own azkar, like remembrance of God in their own ways. I've made them very comfortable, and they actually really enjoy it. And I started about 3.5 years ago, and what I've started to see, I started as a yoga teacher, but now when I go to my classes, I've seen people the way they were 3 years ago and now how they are. So I've seen people with their knee pain disappeared, their back pain disappeared, their asthma is much better, their anxiety, their depression is gone, they're sleeping better, their insomnia is gone. So all these benefits that I'm seeing, so what I'm doing is that I'm designing yoga series so that it caters to every health, different health problems. So it helps with different health problems. It's not like a doctor's diagnose or something. So it helps with that, and I use that knowledge and take it towards Muslim community, and now they're more receptive.
In this final clip from this particular teacher, note the various projects she talks about her studio supporting, and how this money is going to be used to spread their ideology, support people from their culture, their religion. So it's not just a yoga movement, it's a way to use the yoga movement, generate funds, and use them for various purposes. Please watch.
This is my studio where all the action happens. I'm designing this yoga series particularly catering to Muslim community. So I do realize that lots of people have stereotype or some negative ideas about yoga, and I do understand where they're coming from, and that is the very intention, that is my very intention, to take all that aspect from yoga that makes the Muslim community uncomfortable, take it all out, any chanting, any of the mantras and whatever, take that out and give yoga to Muslim community the way I teach here, the way I make it comfortable for the attendees to follow that practice. And that has offered so much benefit to its members here in Move and Improve Canada studio. This is what I'm offering. Inshallah, we're launching that service next month as an Eid gift to all of you. And it is more than just that yoga series to be practiced by Muslims at home. It is more than that, because the part of your purchase will be donated to Muslim Welfare Center. It is considered as a sadaqah jariyah. So with this service of Move and Improve Canada, this online service that you will be inshallah getting next month, you will be part of taking care of your health. Not just that, you'll be actually helping lots of needy people out there in the third world countries. So it is a very beautiful initiative, and the more you're going to share that service with others, the more reward will be increased in your account. Because if somebody else will take part of that service, somebody else will make use of that service.
Now I want to discuss another yoga teacher, this time in the US. This lady is called Yogi Fari in the US, and she started her own movement where she is making Muslim women even more and more comfortable with yoga and sort of explaining her way out of these controversies and contradictions between Islam and Dharma traditions. Yogi Fari's quote, "Who says when you meditate you can't call out Allah?" So you see, the meditation we are taught is all about silence. It's all about either silence or a certain prescribed mantra which has a vibration with certain predictable, certain documented and established effects. We haven't tested out what happens with Allah as the vibration. We don't know what thoughts and ideas Allah will conjure up in your mind when you start chanting Allah, Allah. So it's certainly untested, and I as a person wanting to be loyal to the yoga tradition wouldn't recommend that you just tell people they can chant Allah. Here she says, I quote, "If you look at the Muslim prayer, the actual routine is very similar to yogic poses. It has the mountain pose, hero's pose, forward bend, child's pose, and a hand mudra." So now she's beginning to say that whatever you're learning in yoga, those kind of asanas and mudras, you can also find them in Islam. So why not just do the Islamic version? And in this quote she says, "Zakat or alms giving is no different from seva." And here we go even further. She says, "There is a principle of karma in Islam. Muslims don't believe in rebirth, but you will be rewarded or punished for your deeds in the afterlife." The problem is she's translating karma as simply, being rewarded in the afterlife or punished in the afterlife, but there is no reincarnation, there is no past life, future life, it's all one life followed by eternal hell or heaven. This distorts and really creates a problem for the integrity of the karma idea. Those of you who want to go deeper should read my non-translatables, where I have described why karma cannot be translated in this kind of a way. Finally, she says, "Yoga has brought me closer to Allah than ever before. Yoga taught me to trust my instincts and listen to my heart. I find a natural flow and balance in living as a Muslim yogi." So you see, she wants the yoga, it's benefiting her. At the same time, she wants to protect herself with other Muslims so they don't criticize her and don't attack her. I think she's a lot more accommodating of Dharma than the previous person, the lady in Canada, was. But at the same time, she is sort of apologetic for anything in yoga that could possibly be linked with blasphemy or infidels. Now, there's a large-scale movement among young Muslims, especially women, wanting to digest yoga into Islam. And this is sort of what they are saying. They're saying yoga is not a religion, but merely a set of techniques that can be incorporated into any religion. So yoga's relationship with Hinduism is no closer than its relationship with Islam or any other religion. And just like the Hindus have appropriated yoga, they've hijacked yoga and made it into Hinduism because of this BJP or somebody else like that. So Muslims have a right to decouple it from Hinduism and recouple it back into Islam. This is what they're saying. And they are quoting Eliade. Eliade was a very famous University of Chicago professor. He came from Central Europe before. He was born, raised there. He was a huge successor, a huge Indologist, knew Sanskrit. He was a predecessor of Wendy Doniger. In fact, Wendy Doniger occupies a chair named after Eliade. So Eliade wrote so much about Hinduism and yoga and all that from a very insider dharmic point of view for the first part of his career. Then he made a U-turn, distanced himself and started criticizing it. And they're quoting part of his work where he said that yoga has pre-Hindu origin and can be traced back to prehistoric shamanism. So one way to appropriate something, to digest something, is to deny the culture that owns it, that the culture of its source, the proper history, and to say that, you know, this thing sort of was everywhere. Since it was everywhere, it doesn't have any particular home. That's the argument they're using. In this slide, I'm showing you the mapping commonly used to digest yoga. On the left side are the terms, Sanskrit terms we use, and on the right side are the Arabic equivalents. This is a very common trend nowadays. People saying that, you know, yoga also is also Arabic because we have Arabic words that have a similar meaning. I'll go through some of them and show you that these words and many other words that are being digested are really not the same. In this slide, there are 4 examples from articles written by Muslim yoga teachers in which they are claiming that in each of the 4 cases, the left side in red is the Arabic equivalent of the right side in yellow. So they are taking examples of yogic terms, yogic postures, and namaste as a mudra, and they're saying that these things have Arabic equivalents, and so they're facilitating the digestion of yoga into Arabic and Islamic terminology. So salat or prayer, they're saying, incorporates all the asanas. I mean, you have standing, stretching, inverted postures, seated and twists. All of these they have incorporated in an easy for everyone. You see, according to them, the Islam has simplified the yoga to make it egalitarian. So it's not elitist, it's not for Brahmins only, it's meant for all the people of the world, whereas the yoga in India was, you know, a few privileged people were taught. So they are actually claiming that their form of prayer and the postures in that prayer are better than the yoga as we teach in India, because this form of yoga is simpler and it's for everybody. Now this is quite interesting. They're claiming that even Kundalini is found in Islam because Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven riding a beast with the head of a woman. So the feminine in Kundalini, they're saying that Prophet Muhammad goes to heaven riding a beast which had the head of a woman through the 7 heavens to reach the throne of God. So the 7 chakras they feel are already described because there are 7 heavens. So this is the sort of trick, looking for any shred of evidence, any shred of similarity in their texts to claim that actually it's the same thing. Muslims are also saying that Vedanta is the same thing as divine oneness explained by Sufis. I have discussed in many of my talks that the oneness experienced by Sufis is not the same thing as Advait as taught in Vedanta. In a nutshell, and you can look for more details elsewhere, I have spoken, but in a nutshell, the oneness is not ontological. It is not actual oneness. It is not really so. It's just an impression, just a feeling, just an experience that Allah allows you to have sometimes. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you actually are one while you are feeling oneness for a while. Because I've taken on Sufis in a debate and said, how do you reconcile your claim of oneness with the blasphemy clause that says anybody who says he's one with Allah is committing blasphemy? After a lot of avoiding on their part, after dancing around, when I'm able to pin them down, what they have to say is that the oneness is not really there, but you get the experience as though you have oneness. It's sort of like for a day, I'm a bank teller, but for a day they let me sit on the chair of the CEO of the bank, so I can get the feeling of what it must be like to be the bank president. That doesn't mean I'm actually the bank president. I don't have his powers. I cannot give someone a promotion or give myself a bonus. I don't have the actual authority of the bank president, but I sit on his chair and feel like that just because he's generous and he gave me that gift of having that temporary experience. So this oneness claimed by Sufis is an experiential, it is more epistemological, it is not ontological, whereas in Vedanta the oneness is the real state of reality. That is the actual reality of the individual Atman and the relationship with Brahman. Now, a claim is made that because Pran has an Arabic word which means breath, and actually pran does not mean breath. But since they can say, well, and our own gurus are, very foolish, they keep translating as breath, breath work and so on. So they've given this opportunity, they've opened the door so that people can claim that pran is breath, and breath also has a word in Arabic, therefore all of pranayama is included. Now this is very strange. I don't think any language would be there without a word for breath, because breath is something we all experience. It's nothing very unusual, and so every language would have a word for breath. And so therefore if you translate pran as breath, every language would have all of pranayama. This is kind of a ridiculous statement, but it's the fault of our own gurus who've translated pran rather than leaving it as a non-translatable. Had our gurus said, pranayama is based on pran, I'll explain to you what it is, but do not try to translate, because here is why it is not the same thing as breath, we would have preserved the integrity of pranayama and not let it get digested so easily. And the Prophet also taught that ghee is beneficial. So he's got ghee also. And they're saying that Quran has, in this particular verse they're quoting, it also talks about ginger. That ginger is a spice they use in paradise. When they do their cooking in paradise, so ginger is also used there. And Quran explains the spiritual qualities of tulsi. You see? So tulsi is also recommended in the Quran. So in the Quran. So more and more of our terms not only getting digested and translated into English. I've talked about the problem of how non-translatables get translated and distorted, but the same thing in parallel is happening with Arabic also. And here they ask the question, did these ancient teachings travel from India to Arabia? And the answer they give is no, there is no need to assume such a horizontal transfer. The sacred truths are revealed vertically from heaven to all people. So there is no transfer from one place to another, they just came directly from heaven. All the prophets of Allah have brought and reaffirmed these everywhere. You see, it's very strange. When Arabs claim that they transmitted something to Europe, like mathematics, which actually they did not, they took Indian mathematics and transmitted it. But that aside, when they claim that they transmitted something, some knowledge or some technique or whatever to Europe, one could also say, well, they didn't, because God gave it to everybody. So God gave it to them and God gave it to the Europeans also. We could use the same argument to deny them any claim of anything original that they've ever done. In fact, if you use this logic, you could say, I know E equals mc squared because God told me the same way as he told Einstein. This is kind of a ridiculous manipulation and distortion that our people ought to know about. I want you to notice that the entire discussion by Muslims across the spectrum has been in their framework. So we are the other, we are the outsider. They are the insiders to their tradition, their framework, their vocabulary, ideology, and so they are trying to fit us in. Some things fit, some things don't fit, and so on. What I want to do is exactly the opposite. I want our people to take control of the discourse through our lens. So let's examine the whole thing that I just explained to you through our lens. What is happening is, first of all, they have mistranslated words, like whether it is deity into some kind of a false god, whether it is dharma being mapped as religion, whether it is prana being mapped as breath, and so on. So by mapping everything into their familiar terms, then they can subject all our knowledge to their rules, So the problem, the way to respond is to question the very framework in which they're operating. This requires courage. This requires teachers on our side who have the integrity and the courage and who've done enough Purva Paksha to be able to say, none of this makes sense because you have taken apart the context, and you cannot take yoga and dharma and these things out of context, put it into some kind of Arabic and Islamic context and manipulate it and select this and reject that and so on. You got to take the whole system with its integrity, with its context, and we are the ones who can tell you what the context is. That is the reason I've done this episode. I'm not against Islam. By the way, I want Muslims to practice yoga. I really, really want them to practice yoga. but I want them to defer judgment, not bring in their Islam right away. Just put their Islam aside and let them experience whatever it comes. Not block it. Don't say we won't do this, we won't do that, this is not allowed, this is blasphemy. Just experience yoga as we intend it to be, as yoga has always intended to be. So once they've experienced the genuine, honest yoga for long enough, they will decide for themselves. Their inner being will transfer, will evolve, will get transformed. So once they experience the transformation that yoga brings about, they'll be better qualified to make an individual judgment, not some imam or some mufti or some authority somewhere making that judgment for them. That will set them free. That will make the Muslims a freer people, a more intelligent people, a healthier people, more respectful of others. That kind of a use of yoga I would really like to see in the Islamic community, and I hope our teachers have the courage to introduce yoga in that manner for Muslims to benefit worldwide. Namaste. To help me, you can go to the subscribe button on my YouTube and subscribe. We need more subscribers there. Secondly, I get lots of emails on people saying, how do we donate? How can we help you? You go to rajivmalhotra.com or you go to infinityfoundation.com and you can hit the donate button. If you're in a foreign country like in the US or somewhere, you can donate in dollars. There are different ways mentioned. If you want to donate in rupees, there is a column called Infinity Foundation India, and you click that and there are instructions on how you can donate in India.